Coming up tonight on the News at 6. Governor Greg Gianforte says Montana is ready to administer more doses of the COVID-19 vaccine, but supply does not meet demand. Plus,
Montana Army National Guardsmen were asked to meet a mission and they stepped up and did it.
Montana Army National Guard soldiers in D.C. could soon be on their way home.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 6.
Good evening. Welcome to the News at 6. I'm Marian Davidson. Thanks for joining us. Well, Governor Greg Gianforte says the state has made progress in getting people vaccinated for COVID-19, but they are still hoping for more supply from the federal level. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian has more on the latest vaccine data.
As of Friday, Governor Greg Gianforte said about 73,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines have been administered across the state, and 14,000 Montanans have received both doses to be fully immunized. Gianforte said most frontline healthcare workers have received their first dose of the vaccine. The state has started Phase 1B of the vaccination plan, where doses are available to those 70 and older and people with underlying health conditions. But Gianforte said there's not enough supply yet for everyone in that group to get vaccinated as quickly as they would like.
We want to do more, and we can do more. We are ready and prepared to administer more vaccinations. We just need more doses.
Gianforte said federal leaders have promised Montana at least 13,000 new first doses each week, but they hope that number will increase. Gianforte pointed to the state's improving hospitalization rate and the lower number of new reported cases, but he asked Montanans to continue taking precautions like wearing masks.
We are making great strides to save lives. The light at the end of the tunnel continues to get brighter, but as I said before, we're not out of the woods yet.
State leaders say nearly every county in Montana has now shifted to vaccinating those in Phase 1B. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Lewis and Clark County launched a mobile COVID-19 vaccination initiative to help vaccinate people that have mobility or transportation challenges. Earlier this morning, the mobile clinic vaccinated people who qualify under Phase 1B at Eagles Manor. Right now, the mobile clinics are closed point of distribution sites, meaning vaccination is not available to the public. The county COVID-19 task force chose the initial sites based on vulnerability and transportation difficulties of the residents. Organizers say the mobile distribution will be a great tool for rural communities, especially during winter with potentially dangerous roads.
We've had a very limited supply of vaccine come into our county. We are hoping for more vaccine next week, and we will start to plan mobile clinics up in those communities, Lincoln, Augusta, for people 70 and older.
County officials say demand for the vaccine far outweighs the supply, but there is hope that might change with President Joe Biden's new COVID-19 vaccination plan and more approved vaccines like the Johnson & Johnson one-shot vaccine. And now taking a look at state COVID-19 numbers, active cases of COVID-19 in Montana continue to drop and are just over 4,700. 5 deaths have been reported since last night, raising the statewide death total to 1,127. Active hospitalizations sit just below 140. MTN uses a combination of state and local data to provide you with the most up-to-date numbers regarding COVID-19 in our state, and because of that, our numbers may differ from the state report. And new tonight at 6, the Montana Department of Labor and Industry is warning people to keep an eye out for text scams claiming to be with unemployment insurance. Right now, it looks like scammers are sending fraudulent text messages to phone numbers with a 406 area code in the hopes that one is a current unemployment claimant. The text messages encourage recipients to click on a link, which may install malware on their devices. Now, officials say the Department of Labor and Industry rarely sends texts, and any website links from them will end in mt.gov. If you think you might be a victim of unemployment fraud, report it online or call the Unemployment Insurance Fraud Hotline at 406-444-0072. Now it's time for First Weather with Cowboy Curtis.
right, hey, good afternoon. Sorry I was a little late. I was home on the range over there. Let's take a look at the radar. What a pretty Friday it has been here across most of the state. Looking at skies clearing out. Comfortable day, not too shabby out there, not too much in the way of wind. I want to show you nothing because sometimes nothing is something. Look at the weather alerts we have or do not have across the state, so it should be a pretty nice weekend here. All right, cold air in the lungs. Yeah, where temperatures could drop below zero for at least lows here coming up this weekend. I'll let you know if we can wrangle any snow out there. We need some because it's drier than prairie coal. More of the full forecast coming up.
All right, thanks for that, Curtis. Every state, including Montana, sent National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. over the past week. And now that the inauguration is over, many of those troops will soon be heading home. MTN's Matt Holzappel reports.
After the inauguration of President Joe Biden went off without a hitch, Governor Greg Gianforte tweeted Friday morning that he had asked Montana's Adjutant General to bring the state's National Guardsmen home from Washington, D.C. Now, there is a process involved in getting these troops home, but officials tell me it shouldn't take too long.
We don't just fly an aircraft in there and grab them and bring them home. It takes a little bit of coordination and some planning on our part to do that.
The soldiers left for the nation's capital last weekend, but bringing them home isn't as simple as just sending a plane to pick them up.
They may have missions that they are doing in D.C. right now that they cannot be pulled off on immediately. And so there's some coordination has to be done on the ground. And remember now, 14,000 other soldiers approximately are trying to get home as well.
The exact date and time of their arrival back in Montana is still to be determined, but they're likely looking at days, not weeks.
I wouldn't anticipate it being weeks down the road. I'm anticipating it occurring fairly quickly, but we just don't know at this point.
One of the last more notable times the Montana Army National Guard was called in to help with a situation outside of the Treasure State was when Hurricane Katrina struck the Gulf Coast in 2005. Major Bushnell says just like they were then, the Guard was happy to help with this mission.
Montana National Guard was happy to assist both the governor of the state of Montana as well as the president of the United States in that peaceful transfer of power. As usual, Montana Army National Guardsmen were asked to meet a mission and they stepped up and did it. So we're very proud of them, and now we're just anxious to get them home.
A lot of troops have already received the COVID-19 vaccine, but they will be tested for the virus before they leave D.C. In Great Falls, Matt Holzappel, MTN News.
Well, some sad news this evening. The Montana Highway Patrol announced Sergeant Alex Betts has died after his battle with cancer. Betts joined MHP after graduating from the University of Montana. Betts had a 2-decade-long career with Highway Patrol. He liked to mentor new patrolmen and was well regarded by other first responder agencies. He is described as humble and dedicated to helping the people he served. In an interview last year with MTN, Betts said it was his pleasure and honor to serve, and hoped he was able to truly help those he had interactions with. People who knew him said his proudest job was being a father. Now, in lieu of flowers, donations can be made for Betts' children through Trooper Betts Benefit at First Interstate Bank in Helena. And still ahead on the news at 6, how the community is coming together to show support for people working through the pandemic.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back to the News at 6. Helena organizations are coming together for a community project to show support for people working through the pandemic. MTN's Alexia Guayo has the story.
What seems like a normal white paper bag is actually a luminaria. Now imagine this light all across the Helena community. That is the goal for February 14th.
We started with the idea of keeping holiday lights on in order to send a sign of support. And then the Boy Scout troop reached out to us with this idea of adding luminaria to add an extra gesture of love and support. And of course, February 14th is a great day to do that.
The Helena Education Foundation wanted to commemorate all those working in the pandemic by encouraging the community to keep their holiday lights on since December. Now Helena Boy Scouts have stepped in for a service project, making luminaria kits for a widespread community light display on the 14th. Downtown Helena Inc. is also involved by creating free signs spreading the word of the event.
It was amazing seeing the howling that happened over the summer, the howling at 8 o'clock. It's kind of stopped up until now. So what are other ways that we can show that we're still supporting these people who are, and not just the frontline workers, but also our businesses who are going through tough times as well, and the teachers. You know, it's all these different ripple effects. We just want to recognize that their sacrifice and what they're putting themselves through to really kind of protect this community.
For anyone wanting a sign, you can visit the Downtown Helena Inc. office. Helena Boy Scouts have made 300 boxes as of Thursday, with each box able to make 6 luminarias. The suggested donation is $4 per box, and you can pick them up across multiple businesses. In Helena, I'm Alexi Guayo, MTN News.
And for information on the boxes and signs and where to find them, check out our website, ktvh.com. And now with another look at the weather, here's Cowboy Curtis.
All right, it's cold, air in the lungs here coming down from Canada. You can see just a little glancing blow into the northeast part of Montana here, but we'll talk exactly how cold and if we've got any snow headed our way. That's coming up next.
Tracker weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenens.
Whoa there, Whiskey. That's my horse's name, Whiskey. I just decided that. All right, good evening, everybody. Taking a live look at Great Falls. So looking at a pretty sky out there, 23 degrees right now with wind speeds out of the east, only about 5 miles per hour. It's a beautiful thing. We don't have a lot of wind. Sun's going down in Helena. Here we are, though, a little after 6:15, and we still have some light in the sky. That certainly is nice. 25 degrees. When the dew point gets close to the temperature like that, that's a sign of some good moisture in the atmosphere. We may have some freezing fog in the Helena Valley through the overnight tonight. Maybe a little fog up over McDonald Pass as well. Temperatures already getting down into the teens and 20s. Look at Livingston, 14 degrees. Last night was a little on the chilly side. Many of us woke up the temperatures into the teens and even the single digits. But wind speeds, again, very nice. Strongest wind, believe it or not, up there in Cutbank of only 10 miles per hour. A couple of flakes of snow north of Glasgow, and if there's somewhere that we'll get a little snow here this weekend, likely will be up here over the northeast part of the state. Well, down to the south, though, that's a pretty good storm. Some snow for Wyoming, Idaho, Oregon, California, Nevada, higher terrain of Arizona, New Mexico going to get into some of that action as well. And this is where the drought is really bad in the southwestern part of the country. Little lake effect snow coming through the northeast corner of the country. Now, global satellite for most of January up to this point, really this last week, and December, the jet stream was up and over the top of Montana. Well, now that's changed, but it's so far south that it's taken the storms down there with it. So into California, as I just showed you on the radar, we've got a couple of areas of low pressure that will be spreading rain and snow down in that part of the country here. So let's look long range. There is an Arctic boundary just towards the north of Montana that will move into extreme northeast corner of Montana here for tomorrow. So temperatures will be dropping, and if you're right up there on the Canadian border, I mean even north of Glasgow, that's where some of that Arctic air will get into. But otherwise, looking at mostly sunny skies for both Saturday and Sunday. A little snow in northeast corner of Montana, and then heading into Monday, mostly cloudy skies. Watch that snow kind of to our west, to our north, to our south here. Even western Montana getting a little into the action here by the time we get into Thursday and then again Friday, but really no big snow accumulations. And watch here as I show what the snowfall forecast is all the way through the weekend and next week. Look at the snow, west, south, east, and north, with the whole right over the central part of the state here. So don't expect much accumulation over the next really rest of the month, maybe towards the first few days of February, which isn't that far away. We could see some snow. Single digits and teens tonight, all the way across the high line here, and above zero tonight, northeast Montana. Lewistown at 8. Look at Showdown, 2 degrees below zero around the Helena area. Watch out for a little of that freezing fog for tomorrow. Cold air, extreme northeast Montana. Otherwise, not too bad. Mostly sunny skies, 20s and 30s. That Arctic boundary may kick off a few flurries north and northeast of the Glasgow area here on Saturday, but also on Sunday. Monday, a mostly cloudy day. May have a little snow off of the Rocky Mountain front. Not so sure about Great Falls, though. Highs only in the 20s to about 30 degrees. Believe it or not, that's below average. And for Tuesday, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Highs still down into the 20s. So here's the 7-day forecast for Helena, and there you can see those temperatures staying in the 20s and 30s, so a little bit below average. Next chance for some flakes maybe on Thursday, but no big wind events, no big snowstorms, no big Arctic outbreaks here. Great Falls, look at that wind. Highest wind speeds about 15 miles per hour. That's pretty nice. So enjoy the next 7 days.
All right, thanks for that, Curtis. Coming up, meet one Helena High wrestler who is not letting his injury define him.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back to the News at 6. Thanks for spending some time with us this evening. Well, injuries hamper athletes young and old, but as MTN's Sam Hoyle shows us, some athletes don't let their injury define them.
The story of Nathan Elmos is not a story of tragedy, nor is it one of triumph, yet. When Elmos was a freshman for the Helena High Bengals, he looked like this, his right leg nearly completely wrapped up in a brace after sustaining an injury to his right knee a little under a year prior, an injury that had him and his head coach wondering whether or not he would ever wrestle again, an injury they remember well.
I was wrestling in the AAU state over in Great Falls.
He hit a stand-up.
And the kid dropped my knee, and I went the opposite direction and tore it completely.
As soon as that happened, we kind of knew that he was done. His ACL and his meniscus were torn.
Elmos required surgery for the injury and rehabbed for the better part of a year because he wanted to wrestle again. The issue was convincing the health professionals he'd worked with during his rehabilitation that he was fit to wrestle. That's where Bogart had his back.
His therapist came up here I believe it was the first day of practice. He tested him out up here. He moves a lot different when he wrestles than when he does when he's not wrestling. And I had to explain that to his therapist. So he came up here to check to see how his movements were, and that's when he got cleared. Was actually the first day of wrestling practice.
The stipulation, Elmos required that large knee brace to mitigate the risk of re-injuring his knee.
It was just kind of a weird experience coming to practice every day, 20 minutes to take it on, 20 minutes to put it off. It was just no fun at all.
Despite the various obstacles put in his way, Elmos pressed on because he knew something was on the horizon.
I saw something ahead of time. I knew it was coming. I had something big coming. I just had to wait and get over the challenge and fear of having to tear it again.
He fought his way through his freshman season to a state tournament berth, and though he felt comfortable enough to take the brace off last year, Elmo said he lacked the confidence to really go for it with his right knee. This season, he says he's letting it fly.
I used to be afraid of it last year quite a bit, and that's why I didn't do as quite as well. But this year, I have no regrets going back. I tear it, I tear it. I get injured, but I'm just going out there and giving it 100%, giving it my all.
In some ways, Elmo's approach could be considered living with reckless abandon, but Elmo's doesn't see it that way. To him, this year is an opportunity to show other wrestlers who the real Nathan Elmo's is.
I call it having an opportunity again. I call it wanting to get out on the mat and showing people what I used to be, showing them that I'm still there. It's just taking a little bit longer to come back.
Reporting in Helena, Sam Hoyle, MTN Sports.
All right, and we'll wrap things up here on the news at 6 when we come back.
Montana's news leader. You're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back, and look at how cute this little guy is. He's not just adorable, he's also extremely rare. Although he is white, Animal Adventure Park in New York said he is actually a red kangaroo. And he's not albino. He's leucistic. He has black eyes, not typical red eyes like you usually see in albinos. Now, the park does not know of any other kangaroos like him in the US. Here's a very cute fact for you. Red kangaroos are born the size of a thumbnail. It's so teeny tiny. And then they continue to develop in their mother's pouch. At around 4 to 5 months, caretakers at the animal park removed the joey for a medical checkup and put them back in the pouch. And that's why they just recently realized how rare he is.
I'll throw my cracker box on that roo in a few years and I'll tame him. Here's a look at the 7-day forecast for Great Falls. A pretty nice weekend. Temperatures in the 30s. After that, we're in the 20s. And around Helena, looking pretty sunny this weekend.
All right, and that does it for the news at 6. We'll see you back here with your latest news and weather tonight at 10. Have a good evening.